I'm Shane Nyland, and my co host is Blake Musser. And these stories you're about to hear are from Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division, about the events surrounding and directly from the mouths of the people who were in Ramadi 2004.
And that's how we'll introduce you.
Okay, sounds good. Name Sergio Wallace. My rank
In
during the
2004.
time in
Yeah.
2004 was I'm pretty sure I was a PFC E2. I can't remember. I think I got Lance Corp. I can't remember what it was. I got Lance Corporal, but for sure it was E2, E3.
Nice.
Okay.
And I know you were with 81s, but were you with Sledgehammer or Rainmaker?
I was with um second section.
Sledgehammer.
So yep.
You were with me, Sledgehammer.
Yep.
Nice. Well, cool, man. We can start wherever you want. We can start from the beginning. How long before you joined the unit, before you joined 2-4, did you come in the Marine Corps?
I came in July 2003, and by graduated School of Infantry in December of 2003. And after coming home from Christmas break, is when I was officially um, with 2-4. And then I think it was like maybe not even a month before we went to March to do their pre-deployment training.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to my memory, we did that stuff in January. So yeah,
Yep.
that probably was one of the first things you got to do. Any thoughts or any memories from when you first got to the unit and joined the group of people you were going to be with?
Yeah, I remember we ended up getting along later, but I think like the first day I was there, um, Hodges had tried to say something to me about something.
Not
And
Hodges.
during my time at SOI, I had kind of learned that there was a difference between like a fresh Lance Corporal and then what was referred to as the senior Lance Corporal.
Yeah.
And in my mind, if you had been in the Marine Corps for a certain amount of time and you were still an E3, like I just had an attitude of like I'm not gonna give you the same type of respect as I would give an NCO,
Sure.
which is what he wanted. And I was just like, you're not an NCO. I'm pretty sure I was a Lance Corporal at the time, but I was like, you're the same rank as me. Like you're not. There's just that, I had a different attitude when I first came in. Um, and I don't know if you guys remember Langford.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he and I had grown close in the School of Infantry, and it was one of those like when we got to the platoon, um, he was catching a little bit of heat also, because of his attitude. So we both kind of felt like it was going to be me and him, like against the platoon in the beginning. So it was just, uh, it wasn't how I wanted to start my time in the fleet. Was by already getting into it with guys that had been there for a while and, who I probably could have learned from, because that unfortunately set the tone between he and I for forever after that. Like, obviously, we're cool now. I'm pretty sure we're friends on Facebook. If he ever needed anything, he could always call me. But that was just me being a kid and just having a different attitude about things.
Sure.
Wait, well, there's a certain kind of person who walks into the recruiter's office and is like, you know what I want to be? I want to be in the Marine Corps, but not just the Marine Corps. I want to be in the infantry. Make it the worst possible thing you can do. Right. So you got to have a little bit of confidence as far as that goes.
Well, I'd never even knew what a Marine was until because I grew up in an Army household.
Hmm.
My grandfather was he was command sergeant major, Korean
Oh,
War
wow.
vet, Vietnam War vet. He was in the infantry and then went to tanks. Before they did away with it, he was a flamethrower gunner. So
Oh wow.
like I grew up, he has like silver stars on the walls and purple hearts, and so I grew up just looking at his awards, not
Yeah.
really understanding what they meant, you know. He would never talk about it. I would hear him screaming at night, punching holes in walls. Um, but I never really connected with I never understood what it was all about. And I just knew that I was going to be in the army like him. And freshman year of high school, I find out there's an ROTC program. And I'm like, what's that all about? And they're like, oh, it's like a pre kind of prepares you for the military kind of. And I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds good to me. And then I find out it's a Navy program. So I get disappointed and I'm like, I'm not really I don't want to join the Navy, you know. And they're like, well, you go through the program, you can still join whatever service you want. You just have to wear like the Navy uniforms and stuff in the meantime. So I said, okay, I can deal with that. Go to orientation. The Navy guy, the teacher in charge, he's a little doughy, you know, kind of coming out of his uniform a little bit. I'm like, ah, man, you know, like I don't know about this. And then I look, and he's kind of standing around, waving at everybody, smiling, you know, having a good old time. And then standing next to him is this other guy, and he's got on this uniform that I'd never seen before. He's got on blue pants with a red stripe and you know, the black coat with the gold. And I'm like, what the hell is that? I've never seen anybody in a uniform like that before. And he's standing at the POA. Anytime somebody talks to him, he would just turn his head and address him and then turn his head back center. And I was like, this dude looks and act like a robot. I'm like, what is the deal with this guy over here? I'm asking all my people, and they're like, oh, he's a Marine. That's the first sergeant. I'm like, a Marine? I'm like, what's a Marine? And they're like, oh, dude, they're the most badass, first to fight, like America's shock troops. Like they got the hardest boot camp. That's the hardest thing that you can do. And I was like, huh. Well, I guess I know what I'm doing because I was going to go to the army, but you're telling me that this is harder than the army and they have a better looking uniform? Sign me up. So I went to go meet him. He was the first sergeant in the Marine Corps. He was a drill instructor, Italian guy, super intense, uh, knife handed us all the time. But what he did was anybody who said that they wanted to join the Marine Corps, he took it upon himself to make sure that we were prepared as much as possible so that when we went to boot camp, it wouldn't be a poor showing. So we're doing all the training. He's teaching me the drill and ceremonies manual, making me drill team commander and all this other kind of stuff. And then 9/11 happens. We're watching it on TV. Everything's going down. Um, I don't know what happened. All I'm hearing is that them over there attacked us over here. So I'm
Right.
like, okay, well, this solidifies it. I'm definitely going in now. And what I missed out on was when they said we're sending troops to Iraq, I missed the part where Iraq didn't have anything to do with 9/11.
Right.
I missed that part completely. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's vengeance time, you know? So I'm going through the rest of high school. Uh, I take the ASVAB. I get a high score. My recruiter's like, you can do any job you want to. What do you want to do? I said, infantry. He goes, you do you want to look at the other jobs? You can literally do any job in the Marine Corps you want to do. And I was like, no, infantry. Because in my mind, that's the only way that I'm going to get to where the fight is so that I can protect my country, you know, from them coming over and doing this to us again. My whole family, the ROTC guy, they were like, why do you want to be a bullet sponge? Why do you want to go die in someone else's war? Like, And in my mind, the only thing that made sense to me was that we were attacked. I'm able-bodied. I'm motivated. It's my like the British are coming. You know what I mean? Like it's my responsibility to pick up a weapon and go make sure that this doesn't happen to my kids or your kids. So um, that was the mentality I had the whole time, was just vengeance.
Makes sense, especially with your story of coming into the fleet and you weren't going to take any shit. So, what do you remember of the first training stuff? I mean, obviously, your first taste was March Air Force Base, which was a weird training evolution in and of itself.
Yeah, I think everyone did the best they could with the limited knowledge that we had, because no one that I was around, at least, had been to Iraq before. We knew it was
No.
going to be urban, so there's mount tactics, that we built off of. But as there's only so much you can prepare for,
Right.
and the rest of it is just going to be however you react whenever the shit hits the fan. So I thought that what we were doing was going to be sufficient. I never felt like I'm not trained well enough to go over there.
Nice. That's good.
Well, that's good.
And you talked about Langford. Was there anybody else you kind of bonded with early in the platoon, or anybody else you hated?
Yeah.
Either one.
No, so the other guy I bonded with was another guy from the Chicago area. You guys remember Gloy, Nathan Gloy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
I think because he had gotten to the fleet like, I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks before us, but he still, kind of knew what was going on. So when Langford and I showed up, Gloy kind of took us under his wing and was like, "Hey, this is how stuff works around here." And he's like, "You can't be getting into senior Lance Corporals," and he tried to, stop me from making waves, and we just kind of clicked. Um, and yeah, we stayed friends for a long time after that. But I can't say that I had hate for anybody. Like I said, Hodges and I, we just rubbed each other the wrong way.
Sure.
But I never wished ill of anybody.
Well, I guess hate was a strong word. I was just kind of throwing that out. Yeah.
So, what do you remember of the? I mean, you're still getting your feet underneath you, and that was. I don't know if we did too much training after March, but getting over to Iraq, what any initial memories of Camp Victory?
All I remember,
acclimatized.
Yeah, I remember boots on the ground finally, and feeling like kind of like we were on another planet. It really felt foreign, and it was just a weird feeling, but it was also exciting because um, regardless of the reason of why we go to all the places that we go to, I still got to put boots on the ground on places that are of historical significance, places that have been around a long time. So that was exciting for me. Again, thoughts going into the first deployment were, not knowing what to expect was a little comforting, because there wasn't really anything that I was worried about.
That's fair. Did you have anybody that you were dating at the time, like trying to call home to, writing letters?
Yeah, it's funny. My high school sweetheart. So I was in basic training when I got a letter from her saying that she was pregnant. So I'm in boot camp and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a dad. I'm going to be a Marine. Like, this is going to be fantastic. And then, like, a paragraph down, I'm reading it and it says, I had the abortion on this date at this time. So now I'm like, devastated. So get through boot camp, decide to stay together. I leave the deployment in the relationship. While I'm on the deployment, the same type of stuff that happens in, most of the military happen. And then I have to find out that there was some stuff going on. So I broke it off during that deployment. It was a little rough for me. And then when I got back, she begged for another chance. And I was like, I don't really trust you anymore, but I'm going to give it to you. And just couldn't get over it. So I ended up, she was going to be my fiance, but I ended up ending it because, I couldn't get over that betrayal.
Sure.
Given the the gravity and nature of the deployment, that's a fucking hell of a thing to deal with. Did you talk to anybody about any of that shit, or did you just kind of
Yeah.
gut it?
I talked to Gloy and I talked to Langford about it. Um, and they were there for me like guys are,
Yeah.
and they definitely helped. But it put me in a space because part of my motivation is like I'm doing this for her and for my family and to keep them safe, and then to have something like that happen had me questioning things for a minute. Um, but you know, it wasn't enough to break my focus to the point to where like I was like I can't afford to be thinking about this. Like I need to worry about getting home and getting my guys home first.
Yeah. That you answered my next question was going to be, did it mess with your mind any? But it sounds like you were able to at least keep your focus on the mission.
Yeah, I mean, I was a kid, you know, I had my heart broken, but when you're in a situation like we were, you can't really afford to be thinking about your own feelings when you leave the wire.
Well, our op tempo was definitely high enough where at least you weren't sitting in your feels for too long, except
Yeah.
for on guard week. I mean, we were we were always on the go, so
Yep.
at least there was that. So
Yeah.
how did you end up getting up to Ramadi? Were you part of the convoy or did you come up later in the flight?
Let's see. You mean the convoy from Kuwait?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was two convoys that came up from Kuwait where we brought up a lot of our gear and the vehicles and stuff like that. But there was a group of 81s in particular flew up later. But
That I'm pretty sure that was us. I do feel like there was a little bit of a late arrival because I think by the time we got to Hurricane Point, everything was already set up.
Yeah.
that's fair. Then you probably flew into Al Asad and then came down with the crew. Do you have any initial memories of? I mean, if you're talking about you are you remembering it being set up? Do you have any initial
Um,
memories of Hurricane Point or any of the first couple missions that you went on?
yeah, I mean, I thought it was a beautiful place. Palm trees, the river was right there. Um, at the time, the weather was nice. I mean, even the first few patrols we went out on, there were times where, we would dismount, walk around, take our helmets off, you know, kind of let our loose sling a little bit and talk to these people and hearts and minds. And, like we're not
Mm-hmm.
here to scare or intimidate these people. We're here to help them. And I, I will admit that for a little bit, I did in my mind was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't going to be so bad. Like maybe, maybe this is just going to
Yeah.
be a peaceful, they won't want to mess with us. We don't have to kill any of them type of situation. And I didn't realize that they were using that time to map our patrol routes and make notes on, you know, all the stuff that we would be doing if an invasion force showed up in someone's backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. Make notes and mass weapons and figure out who's on your side.
Yep.
Do you remember who you
Good.
rolled out with mostly? Like, so our as I have found out in these conversations, I didn't fully appreciate that, but the other platoons stuck pretty tight to their gun teams, but
Yep.
we tended to mix it up quite a bit. But you had some tried and trues. Did you have trucks that you drove with most?
Yep. Um, we were part of a section that put the mortar tubes up and was just running, the basic 0311 ops. Gloy was our gunner. I want to say, man, my memory's terrible. So much time has gone by. I know for sure Gloy was the gunner because every time we would leave the wire, we would say that line from Die Hard. Yippee ki yay, motherfucker! Like that was our like good luck leaving the wire.
There you go.
But
Well, we switched it up. I mean, to be honest, we switched it up a lot. I mean, we had some pretty dedicated gunners and there were some dedicated drivers, but that got mixed up a lot. So you maybe had Stadelman, you maybe had Ventusia,
Yep.
you maybe had Mann. I think Winder drove a bit.
I drove for a little bit too.
Yeah. There was
Almost wrecked.
What happened there?
I was gonna say I'd love to hear that one.
Yeah, it was one of my first times as a driver. We were doing one of those, 3 a.m. night raids. And you remember how bad the 7 Bravos were for depth perception. And our vehicles were rolling through the soft pack, and throwing up that little fine dust.
Yeah.
And there was a canal on the right-hand side. And at the very last second, I'm trying to remember who was in the gunner's seat, but they were yelling at me to make a hard left because we were about to slide, about to go off the road and down into the canal. So I busted it hard left, hit the gas, and the rear end kind of like slid down a little bit and then came back up on the road. So that was good. But yeah.
No better time to learn to drive a Humvee than 3 a.m. on a raid. Yeah. In
With
NVGs.
blacked out.
Yeah. Blacked out NVGs. Yeah. Perfect.
Definition of on the job training.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that. Did a lot of on the job invention too. But do you remember any other of the raids that we did on the topic of raids?
There's a few ones that I remember, but the one that I think I'm probably most embarrassed about, or that makes me laugh the most, I have a problem, especially in Humvees, with the vibration. It's extremely hard for me to stay awake.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's a truism.
it was his team leader. His name was Mongoloid. You remember Hutchison? I think was his last name.
Yes. Okay.
He was my vehicle commander, and we had gotten a call. We were QRF because I think it was Golf Company or maybe Echo. Were in contact, and it was in the middle of the night, and I'm already tired, so I guess I fall asleep in the back of the Humvee on our way to a troops in contact. And Hutchison looks back and he's like, "Are you fucking sleeping? Wake the fuck up! We're in a war." And I'm like, "Shit, that's right." Like, I gotta remember, like, I gotta stay awake. But it was a struggle, even on the way to a firefight. Like, I couldn't stay awake.
I think that's also a testament to how normal it had gotten at that point. That it was we were in it so often that it was almost like paperwork to a certain degree.
Yeah.
That's funny. I haven't thought about Hutch in years either. I forgot he was with you guys.
Yep. Rick Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other thing I remembered about the night raids is I really did not enjoy rousting families at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Looking back on that and thinking, how would I feel if dudes that don't speak my language kicking my door and flipping my bed over and, grabbing my kids and me and putting us on the ground. It just, again, at the time, it felt like what we were doing was right because we were rooting out the bad guys.
Yeah.
But learning that things weren't exactly as we were being told later on, kind of, um, I'd made peace with a lot of the things that had happened years and years ago. And then after finding out that things weren't exactly as we'd been told, all the peace that I had made with those decisions had kind of come undone. And I've been struggling with it since.
Yeah. We've talked with a few different people about that. And I've off of a podcast, me and Blake have talked about that a lot. I mean, you didn't know any different, right? That was the way it was supposed to be done. You're supposed to go and search the area. And there were times when that intel was good. And there were plenty of times when some asshole was using the intel line just to call us into places to either see what we would do or to snitch on his neighbor and get his neighbor in trouble because he didn't like him.
Yep.
Or whatever bullshit they were trying to do. And yeah, I'm with you. We probably made as many enemies as we made captures, going into people's houses and yanking them out of their bed in the middle of the night, breaking their shit, knocking down their gates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, was it fun running a Humvee through a gate or, running a Humvee through the side of someone's stuff because
Yeah.
there might be IEDs or, there's might be something going on the inside? Yeah. At the time it was. But I spend a lot of time thinking about because, like you said, there were those times where, yeah, we'd get in and find something. But to my memory, it was either the wrong info or, a mistake made somewhere and there wasn't anything there.
I did a lot less door kicks than you probably did, but I am curious. Did you go into a lot of houses? Were you, I mean, it sounds like you were dismount.
Yeah.
You were a dismount a lot.
So, yep. My first deployment, I didn't touch a mortar round once.
Yeah, no.
I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't touch
I
a
know.
mortar
Trust
system
me.
once. And
Point of contention.
I think it was maybe somebody didn't like me or I don't know what it was, but they gave me the breach kit when we would do bug hunts.
Yeah.
So, we'd get on the line and I'd get out and every time I would go up to a door and I'm trying to cut the lock off, I'm just waiting for a bullet to come from somewhere because I'm focused on getting this door open and
Yeah.
not a sector of fire, That was always in the back of my mind, but it really made me trust and appreciate the Marines around me. And that's what made it easier for me to do was knowing that someone's looking out for me while I got both hands on these bolt cutters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sounds like you were first or second in on a lot of shit then.
Mhm.
Did you ever catch any contact in a house?
Not in the house, but there would be times where, as we're moving through a house, or we'd get up on a rooftop, they'd be shooting from another rooftop or from another building.
Right.
But usually by the time, because for weapons company, we did a lot of QRF type stuff, and being a vehicle mounted force, I feel like we may have gotten engaged differently than the guys who were on foot all the time.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
most of the
100%.
time when weapons company came through with 50 cals and Mark 19s, that's usually when they would disperse. Um, knowing that they were outgunned as soon as we showed up. It was, that's when they started using the IEDs and taking out the trucks. But usually once they heard the trucks rolling down the street, there wasn't too many still left, like in rooms or inside the house.
Sure. Not trying to get you to relive any painful memories, but if you remember any stories of catching contact from a roof of a house or anything, it'd be interesting to hear. Because I mean, especially for me personally, because again, you guys did different things. You had way more dismounts than we did. I was map 2, we were the smallest of all of the weapons company platoons. We just didn't have that many dismounts. So we ended up, we did kick down some doors, but mostly we were outer cordon or, like you said, QRF stuff all the time.
Yeah. I just remember, I'm pretty sure, I think it might have been Gloyd that was up there with me. I'm not sure, but we had taken over the house, done the search, and as we were getting ready to move to the next one, I just remember being on the roof, looking around and seeing how exposed it was. And at that second, I had the thought, like, somebody could just take a shot at you from anywhere. You should probably, like, get a lower profile. And as soon as I got down on a knee, rounds impacted above my head where I was standing at.
Yeah.
And, I looked up and couldn't see where it was, had no idea where it came from. Couldn't, I didn't have a radio, so I couldn't like call it in and be like, so I think maybe 10 more seconds went by, and my team leader, I think it might have been Sergeant Gonzalez at the time. He just told us that we were moving out. So I got down off the roof and went back downstairs and out through the front. But there's a couple times posted up near a Humvee. I don't know. I just think I was really lucky. There was just so many times where I would be somewhere and then I would move and then the rounds would be impacting where I was like a few seconds later. So, someone's looking out for me.
I was going to say, you either had a psychic intuition or just good luck, man. That's good.
I call it my spidey sense. It still happens today. Like, I'll feel like things are going to happen. I'll be driving and I'll be like, oh, that car's going to swerve into my lane. And then I'll move. And sure enough, they come over. It's just, I don't know. I'm grateful for it, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Kept you alive.
Yeah.
Well, here, let's bring it back to the early part again. We were, so we had some of those early, as you mentioned, we were still winning hearts and minds, doing a lot of dropping off supplies, dropping off generators, going to the schools and stuff like that. It wasn't too far in when we got hit with Worth. Were you, which truck were you in? Were you in it
was right behind his.
Worth's truck when you got hit? Right behind his?
Yep.
Do you have any memories of that day?
Yeah. I'd never heard an explosion like that before. Took a second for my brain to understand first what it was, and then secondly, comprehending that it was intentional.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first time that I had ever seen an attempt on any of us. I'd heard over the radio, I'd heard through passing word that people had taken contact here and there. But as far as my personal experience, that was the first time that anyone had ever tried to hurt one of us. That was also the first time I think we all realized the liability of having that 3/4 armor door with that huge gap
Yeah.
that anything could just fly through. It sucks that a Marine has to get injured for them to, make a decision to upgrade the armor and, give us better protection. But that was the first time that I kind of had my eyes opened a little bit and was like, okay, really got to be careful. But same thing with the luck. The day that Savage got hit, again, was right like I watched it happen. He was right in front of me. And when Lieutenant Dobb came in and said that we lost Savage, that was when everything became real for me. That was when I think something inside of me was like, okay, this is not a game. These people are here to kill you. You can die out here. This is not like a game or a vacation or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Did it fundamentally change the way that you were like leaving the wire and how you were engaging with everybody? Did it change your posture, I guess?
Yeah, I definitely became um, assumed a more protective posture, but also now I really had a reason to be angry
Hmm.
and to get revenge. Like you took out one of our guys, so now my mindset's like I'm gonna take as many of you as we can.
that was definitely the way it went for our platoon as well. When I mean, because we lost Morris,
Mhm.
we had the first weapons company KA, and it seemed. I mean, I can't speak for everybody in my platoon, but most of the people who were vocalizing something, it was revenge. They were ready. Everybody was ready to go at that
Mhm.
point, and very highly focused on punishment. You mentioned Worth being like the first time that you had seen an attempt. I mean, you're not wrong. As far as my memory goes, that was the third IED that had actually hit a weapons company vehicle. The first one I think was map one, if I remember correctly, and it didn't hurt anyone.
Mhm.
And then the second one was my platoon, and then the third one was Worth. Like so, it like got like exponentially worse as we went, and it didn't get better from there. Obviously, the IEDs got more frequent and much bigger.
Yep.
In between those two events was, I mean, because you're talking about Savage was May.
Mhm.
Uh, you kind of remember anything as far as the intensity of everything ramping up through April?
I do, but that I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves correctly, the third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah, yeah. Specifically, I mean the biggest fighting was April 6th and 7th. There was some little stuff on the 8th, and then the 10th was the third biggest day as far as that went.
So I'm not sure how many of those days, but my section at the time was on the bridge.
Yeah,
Right.
So um, I don't know how many times I went out, but by the time that we had gone out, uh, where we were, I don't, like I said, when we showed up in the vehicles, it always seemed like the fighting was like one block over
hmm,
or like, you know, half a mile that way. Um, it wasn't as those that week in general, I don't feel like was as intense for me as it was for mostly everybody else.
sure. When you were up on the bridge, were you able to see anything?
Just tracers, smoke from explosions, from, rockets from both sides, things like that. Um, they didn't make any attempts on the bridge posts while I was up there.
Yeah,
Um, I know the bridge post had taken contact. Obviously, they would mortar us from time to time. So, other than getting incoming fire from the mortars, I don't think that week was as kinetic for me as it was for everyone else, just by pure circumstance.
sure.
I think we just happened to be on guard that week.
We
And
were.
and truly, it was only and again, you guys can correct me because I don't know. I wasn't in your platoon, but I think you guys were only on the bridges the 6th and the 7th, and then we put the H&S company guys up on the bridges, and you got pulled and started kicking down doors on the 8th, 9th, and 10th. The 10th being the first bug hunt.
Yep. I do remember the bug hunt. Uh, that was all just a blur, but like I said, it just seemed it always seemed to be like right out of my reach.
Hmm.
I guess everything just seemed to be happening all around me. Um, yeah,
Well, do you,
I'm just
again, not to pry, but I'm curious, do you remember the first time you got to exchange fire?
yes. We were dismounted and they started shooting at us from the top floor of this building, but all I could see at the time were just the muzzle flashes. So, I'm returning fire into a building that someone's hiding in. Like, I'm not seeing a face or anything like that. I just know that they're in there because they're shooting from it. Um, Also, there's a lot of times where a lot of guys are firing at the same spot.
Yeah.
So you don't
Mhm.
necessarily know, like, if you got the guy, if someone
Right.
else got
Right.
the
Right.
guy, like,
Right.
you just know that
It's a group
the
effort.
shooting stopped. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember the details surrounding that mission at all? Just out of curiosity, and you may not even have known the details surrounding the mission because that also happened. I'm finding out more and more frequently. People were like, "I was riding in the back of a truck," and then people were shooting. And that's what I remember.
Yeah. I mean, as a low on the totem pole guy, everything was do what your team leader says. He does what the squad leader says. He does
Right.
what the platoon sergeant says. Like,
Yeah.
that's where I was at. I was just a gun that went where I was pointed. Um, I remember coming under fire and getting caught up in the seatbelt in the Humvee, and Hutch was yelling at me to get the fuck out of the vehicle because we're taking contact and the rounds are hitting the truck. And I'm thinking that I'm gonna die hanging halfway out of a Humvee because my rifle's on the seatbelt. Like, it just, just little funny things that don't seem funny at the time, but are funny later.
Yeah. Especially 22 years later. It's nice to be alive to be able to laugh about it.
Yeah. But yeah, all I remember about the bug hunt is it uh, just being hot, being hungry, and just thinking that whatever the next time I go around this corner or as soon as I cross this alley, that's gonna be it.
Yeah. To my memory, now, and you may remember better, I don't know, but you guys were the farther northern, like northwestern edge of that cordon. It was a big cordon because it was a big neighborhood. And a chunk of the enemy were being pushed by the line companies into map 3. And so I think they got the heaviest contact on that day, but
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you guys got at least some contact out of that where they were getting pushed north. Because we were on the south edge. We got, I mean, very limited engagement on the 10th.
Yeah, I think I just don't. Also, I'm trying to separate the memories from this deployment and
Sure.
other deployments back to Iraq, and I ended up
Yep.
in Afghanistan. So there's like a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
there's some fights that are kind of blending in, but no, to as far as my experience was, most of the time when I dismounted from those vehicles and we were either pushing to contact or just doing the search in general,
Mhm.
um, there wasn't a ton of fire coming our way because they didn't want anything to do with those Mark 19s and 50 cals.
Yeah. Well, here, I'll give you some key moments and we'll see if any of those kind of trigger any memories. So after April, the way it was always portrayed to everybody was that, we killed them all. Their jihad was over because we did so much damage they had to go and retool. Uh maybe that was true, maybe it wasn't. But what did happen was on April 28th, you remember the Abu Ghraib scandal thing where that
Mm-hmm.
all the pictures that were out and they were, whatever they were doing with the prisoners. Well, we had two massive prisoner releases that were basically just right outside of the city, and then everything ramped back up in May. And that was when the swimmers from Fox Company had drowned, and
Yep.
Savage was killed on May 12th. And then another big thing that you were definitely a part of, and I don't know if you remember it much, but we decided that we had to secure the dam because they were going to blow the dam. And so we had to go do a sweep with the engineers to go do that. Any memories of that thing where the engineers were up on the dam?
I do. I remember that. I remember looking for those Fox Company swimmers, looking for their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Going up and down the sides of the river. That was another time that I felt a little conflicted because I wanted to be looking for them, but also it was another thing that had us really exposed and had our focus off of 100% defense. But I understand why we did it. Holding for the engineers, all I remember was being in the prone, with my rifle and shoulder, just, waiting for something, waiting for them to try and stop them.
Right. Yeah, that was, to me, both of those missions, just because they're kind of close together, are like examples of like, I didn't understand the command intent.
Mm-hmm.
And, why were guys swimming across the Euphrates? That seems like there's no reason. I don't think the enemy would be surprised if we had boats. So we could use them. Even rowboats would be fine. You don't have to use motorboats if you want to be quiet. But it was very, very strange.
If you like what you've heard, this is a multi-part episode. Make sure you listen to the rest of the story.